So we're going to focus on the positive side of Alzheimer's today instead of the negative, because I think too often we focus on the negative. But the first thing that I would like you all to do is go back to your childhood. Yes, I know it's morning and some of you have to go way back. But I would like you to go back to your childhood and think of something from your childhood that makes you feel good just to think about it. Anything from your childhood, you're like, that was fun. It could be playing in the haymow. It could be a tree that you climbed. It could be doing something with grandma in the kitchen. I don't want the one where you're smacking your brother, locking him in the closet, tying him up. I know that feels good, but that's not what we're shooting for this morning. Anyone, you got a fond childhood memory, when you think about it, you're like, that was fun. We're going to have to chat a little bit today. Anyone, fond childhood memory? Swinging in the tire swing. And did you have to share the tire swing? No. That's lovely. And did you have anybody spin you until you got dizzy? Oh, with your toes, right? We can see the toes spinning yourself and then unwinding. Fabulous. So when she's talking about her tire swing, how many of you had a tire swing and just thought of that? Yes, absolutely. How many of you got to sit inside the tire swing? Nicely done. Anyone else fond childhood memory? Or was it that bad you just can't think of a thing? Chocolate cake with grandma at her house? And did you get to walk there, or did someone have to take you there? You had to be driven to grandma's house. And your favorite thing about making chocolate cake with your grandma? We're going to stir it up, and you get to do the stirring. Did she bring you up a little stool to stir? A little chair to stir on? Nicely done. Making chocolate cake with grandma. How many memories did that trigger for you in the audience? Anyone else? Did you get to be with your grandma and make cinnamon rolls? One more fond childhood memory, and then we'll continue. Just one more. Yes, way in the back?
Horse riding.
Horseback riding. And the name of your horse?
Two Bits.
Two Bits. And what color was your horse?
Beigey tan.
Beigey tan. And was your horse taller than you?
Yes.
Yes. How many people can spell spoiled? Anyone else? When she was thinking about that, did you think about the horse that you had? Did you notice the details? She knew the name of her horse. She knew that it was taller than her. She knew the color of her horse. I'm going to say, would you have thought of that moment right this minute had I not asked you to? Would you have thought about your tire swing right this moment had I not asked you to? Would you have thought about grandma making chocolate cake? Would you have thought about your grandma had she not talked about her grandma? Would you thought about two bits right this minute had I not asked you to? It takes someone or something else to trigger a moment in our memory. People with Alzheimer's, they have these moments. They have these moments just like you and I. And they remember the name of their horse. And they remember how tall it was. And they remember their grandma. But they can't pull out of the darkness a moment. Someone or something has to trigger it. So that means you get to bring them chocolate cake to trigger the moment. That means you might want to hang a tire swing just right outside the window of your community so they can see a kid swing. That means you might need to bring a picture in of Two Bits, right? The closest thing to their memory is not what we're saying, because we all like to talk, don't we? Yeah. The closest thing to their memory is not what they're saying. The closest thing to their memory is what they see, what they touch, what they feel, what they smell. And they have these memories just like you and I. But we have to understand people with Alzheimer's before we do this. Understand that they lose their short-term memory. How do you know they lose their short-term memory? What do? Do you not hang out with people with dementia? Ask the same question, correct? Over and over and over again. And what if you ask them, what did you have for breakfast? What would they say?
They don't know.
I don't know. I didn't get any. I'm kind of hungry. Do you have something for me to eat? So we know they lose their short-term memory. They don't know what they did this morning. They don't remember what they did last weekend. They don't even remember what they did 10 years ago. But the positive side of this disease is they retain their childhood swing. The positive side of this disease is they retain the name of their horse. Whose responsibility is it to chat about the memories that they still have? Instead of, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? What'd you do today? Can they answer that? No, every conversation needs to focus on the memories that they still have. One of my joys is walking in the rain. I'm hoping I'll get a thunderstorm while I'm here. I love to go walking in the rain. That's what we did as kids. We got in our underwear and we slid in the grass. It was super fun. But I was out walking in the rain one night, walked into a nursing home thinking I would create some joy. And then this lady, she comes up to me. She goes, "Oh, honey, you're so wet. Can I get you a towel?" I said, "I love the water. I love a thunderstorm. I love to swim." And she said, "I'm a good swimmer." I'm like, "You are?" She goes, "Mm-hmm." She goes, "When I was 8 years old, there were 2 kids in the river, and she didn't look like she was going to make it. So I jumped in, grabbed the girl by the hair, told that little guy he better hang on. And I swam. And I was like, holy cow. She goes, "Yeah, I couldn't touch the bottom." I was like, holy cow. And she said, "But I did touch the bottom, and I pushed those kids to shore." And I went, "Oh my, you saved their life." She goes, "Honey, all I know is I was shaking. I didn't swim for 2 years." Now tell me how many times you think I heard that story in the 15 minutes we were chatting. Over and over and over again. Here's the deal. Every one of you in this room is going to hear a story from someone, and you too will get to hear the story over and over and over. You too have a choice to go, if I have to hear this story one more time. You can do that, or you can think to yourself, I'm going to remember this story because I know as the disease progresses, she's going to lose the ability to communicate her stories. When she loses the ability to communicate her stories, what do you think will bring joy for her? Hearing her story. So consider, these things that irritate you actually have what for them? For this person, what is a story for her? It's her memory. In fact, 2 months later, I walked back into the community. I walked up to the lady and I said, "Well, hello, have you been swimming lately?" She said, "No, but when I was 8 years old, there were 2 kids in the river. And they didn't look like they were going to make it." What did I have to say to trigger her story? Swimming. Now imagine you came in, you knew the word swimming, been swimming lately. You came in, you knew the word swimming, been swimming lately. She would get to do what? Tell her story. Do you not think she'd get a better day? Absolutely, because that story leaves that lady with a what? A good feeling. A good feeling about saving their kids. And when you trigger their memory, 5 minutes later, do they remember what you said? No. 5 minutes later, do they remember what you did? No. You know what they do remember 5 minutes later? How they felt. That good feeling lingers on. And it's so funny when we think they don't have memory. Any of you, if you make them smile, you'll come in tomorrow and they'll go, "Where have you been?" And they don't know your name. But they remember you and how you made them feel. So the other thing about Alzheimer's that's a little more confusing, as the disease progresses, they get younger in their mind. How do we know they get younger in their mind? In other words, they lose more and more memory. How do we know they lose more and more memory? Who do they ask for? Mom and dad. Do you know that in this moment, you got to figure out what age that they're living in their mind? How old are they in their mind right now? You know what we tend to focus on? The information that the children give us, right? You have a social assessment or social history, and you'll ask the kids, who was your dad? And then they'll say, "My dad was a businessman, my dad was a board member, my dad was an accountant." But when he moves into your community, all he wants is, "Betsy, Betsy, Betsy, Betsy." Who could Betsy be for this gentleman? Based on what the kids told you about this guy. The secretary? Who else could Betsy be? Come on. Mom, wife, daughter, sister. Betsy could be about anybody. Who's got to figure out who Betsy is? We do, because how many times does he look for her throughout the day? Over and over and over again. So we're going to go with one of our first guests. We think Betsy is the secretary. So then we look at the gentleman and we say, "I think Betsy's uptown working on some paperwork." Then he gives you this look like, "Liar, crazy woman. Do you not know when you give them the wrong answer and they look at you like, where did you fall from?" Because for this person, Betsy was his cow. Betsy's uptown working on some paperwork. Do you know this is the only disease you get to keep changing your answer every 3 minutes? Until you find the one that works. Short-term memory loss, he's going to come around the corner again and he's going to say, Betsy. Now, when you finally figure out Betsy's the cow, could you say to him, you don't have a cow, you're 82. How does that make him feel in that moment? Feel. Betsy, my dad's going to kick my butt. Nobody knows where the cow is. Okay, let's pause for a second. How old is he in his mind? Teenager. You've got to figure out what age they're living in their mind in this moment. So this person, the people that you're caring for, they're going to be looking for someone. They're going to be looking for something. And your whole goal is to figure out who it is, what it is, and how can I make them feel? Because all you can give them is a good feeling. How can I make them feel like that person they're looking for, the thing they want, is perfectly okay right now? So how can you make them feel like Betsy's perfectly okay right now? Where would Betsy be? In the barn, out in the back 40, in the pasture. Nicely done. So they're going to ask you another question over and over again. Have you seen my mom? Where's my mom? Have you seen my mom? How can you make them feel like their mom's okay in this moment?
She's at work.
Nice. She's been there, done that. But did their mamas go to work? When you get there, your mama will be at work. But for their generation, where were their mamas? In the kitchen. Where else were their mamas? Hanging out the clothes, doing the dishes. Do you know you get to make mistakes all day long? And so she's going to come around the corner and say, where's my mama? Where's my mama?
She's out hanging the clothes.
Nice. She's out hanging the clothes. But did you see how she did it? She went, she's out hanging the clothes. 90% of what they understand is not really the words that's coming out of your mouth. If you hesitate, do they believe anything you just said? No. 90% of what they understand is your body language and actually how you say it. Doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it. So your answer was perfect, but you're like, she's out hanging out the clothes. And I would even shorten it. Because if you go into 3 sentences, right? Like you say, your mom's outside, she's probably hanging out the clothes. When you go into 2 or 3 sentences, what happens? You lose them. So you want to shorten your answers and say, she's hanging out the clothes. Make it no big deal. Now, when you find the answer that works, you better tell everybody. Tell everybody, because you might be fantastic. You've been doing this for a while, and she says, where are my kids? Where are my kids? And you're fantastic. And you say, they're at school. But we have a new girl today. And she says, where are my kids? Where are my kids? And the new girl says, well, I think Shirley lives in Alabama. I bet you Richard moved to Connecticut. Didn't Richard move to Connecticut? Yes, Richard lives in Connecticut. Does she have anybody that takes her out to lunch? Oh, her youngest? Your youngest, Sally, is going to take you out to lunch on Tuesday. Tuesday? I ain't staying in this place until Tuesday. You get my kids on the phone. Christian woman swearing the new girl up and down. How long did this lovely answer last over here? Until she came along. Do you know that your staff would rather work short than work with people who don't have the answer? Okay, so let's do another scenario. By the way, people think this is lying when you say their mom's in the kitchen and their mom's no longer living, right? And their husband's out in the field and their husband's no longer living. Let's just do another scenario. Where's my husband? Where's my husband? And the new girl says, he's no longer living. How do you think that makes her feel in that moment? Feel. Let's get to the feeling of it. She starts to cry. So how is she feeling? Sad? Scared? Nobody said anything? Nobody said anything. Did I go? Overwhelmed? Confused? So how does she function when she feels sad, scared, overwhelmed, and confused? She can't. If she can't function, who suffers the repercussions? Everyone. Absolutely everyone. So here's the thing. When you find an answer that works, you better write it down. But it's so cute how we want to put everything in the care plan. Isn't that cute? And we have the new girl, right? She says, where's my mom? Where's my mom? Oh, hang on a minute. Let me check your care plan. Like anybody's got time to check a flippin' care plan. And then where would it be? In the care plan. It's hilarious. People, these answers that you find that make somebody feel better is stronger than any medication you will ever find. These answers that we talked about that makes them feel like their mom's okay, their husband's okay, their kids are okay, is stronger than any medication you will ever find. So these answers need to be accessible to everyone who walks in that door. And Smart Memory Care communities will have a binder outside the door that has the person's name at the top and the question they ask 50 times a day and the answer to that question, and that they love cherry pie, and then bring them French fries and sit with them. Because I'm going to ask you a question. How do you think it makes families feel just to pop by your community? And when they walk in, this guy says, you got to get us out of here. They're locking us in here. And this guy says, I got to get home. And this lady says, where's my boy? How do you think it makes your families feel just to stop by and walk through that door when they do not have the answers to the question the other people are asking throughout the day? Feel. Anxious? How do families feel? Guilty. I can't believe I left my mom here. So how are they feeling? You think they're just going to come back? Number one reason people stop visiting. Number one. Even if it's been a neighbor for 40 years and they've been friends for 40 years, they will stop visiting. Tell me why. Guilt? Thank you. They don't know how to do this. Because for how many years have they been stopping by with, what'd you have for lunch this morning? What'd you do today? How are you? You remember the drive I took you on yesterday? Do you know who I am? Can I tell you the number one gift we can give anyone and everyone? Tell everybody how to stop by. Tell everybody the answer you found to the question they ask 50 times a day. It's important. And I'm going to tell you something else. Your staff know these people than their own kids. They know these people better than their own kids. Who has all these answers that you're all looking for? The people who are given the care. The people who are given the care. But it's so interesting how staff has got to work out of fear of getting in trouble, right? Getting in trouble of who might walk in when they say, like maybe they go up to somebody and they go, hey, stink pot. And then she comes over and says, oh, you can't call that lady stink pot. Is she my teacher? Is she my teacher? No. Who's the only person to teach me whether or not it created joy for her to call her stink pot? Her. And if she's smiling, I got one, right? And I want to put that on that piece of paper so other people can tease her because she likes to be teased. But I'm going to tell you, your staff is working out of fear. What if state walks in? What if management walks in? What if families walk in? Because families have instructed you tell my mom the truth. Her husband is no longer living. Dad is gone. Education, education, education. But I want you to realize who holds the magic wand. The magic wand is held by the people who give the care. Not by state, not by management, and not by their kids. Because I'm going to tell you, kids have an idea of who this person should be. Oh, my mom, she never swore. Oh, my mom, she never would have done that. Oh, my mom never would sleep with another man. Oh, honey, before she was your mama, she did all of those things. And we know that they're losing all pretense of who they should be, correct? They're losing all pretense of who they should be, and they're becoming more of who they really are. So you got Christian women swearing like sailors, correct? And the kids are so embarrassed, so ashamed. My mom never would have swore. Woo! She was thinking it in her head. We cognitive people just know better than to let it come out our mouths. By the way, does this person have the ability to pause and say, should I say that? If they're thinking it, where's it coming? Right out their mouth. That's why you all have a fat ass. You know that, right? Telling you, I had one too, so there you go. And if they call you a bossy bitch, you might want to consider it. Just saying, sometimes they say things I want to say. But they can see things in us that we can't see, correct? And it just comes right out their mouth. And then you might be a person like, oh, I can't swear. You might have a guy who's swearing all day long. If you walk in and say, that's inappropriate. We don't use language like that here. Does he like you? No. Is he gonna cooperate with you? No, you're gonna end up medicating him because he's so ticked off at you. So here's the deal. Nutty caregivers, which are the best, the ones who hold the magic wand, nutty caregivers, this 19-year-old girl, she goes, I figured out, this guy who hits everybody and who swears up a storm, I figured out his favorite whiskey. So I put apple juice in his favorite whiskey bottle, and I warmed it up in the microwave, and I came in, and we shoot together, and I shut the damn door, and I say, yeah, those bitches walking around here telling you what to do. Guess who gets him in the tub with whiskey? So you have to allow your staff to be a little off, right? To be a little nutty, right? But you might want to care plan that.